I hope you enjoy the following class. Do realize all of these video classes are based on what I teach at Silicon Dojo here in Asheville, North Carolina. These are free to the end user, hands-on technology classes where basically you just sign up, you show up, and you get to learn technology. I will remind you that free to the end user is not actually free. All of this stuff costs me a shocking amount of money. So if you would like to support the educational programs that I am creating, the education that I deliver, please think about clicking on the donor box link down below and throwing a couple of dollars in for the cause. I hope you enjoy this class, and more importantly, I hope to see you at Silicon Dojo sometime in the future. Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, and in today's class, we are going to be using ChatGPT to scrape YouTube videos. So do you know how some YouTubers just go on and on and on? They never seem to actually get to the point, right? You see a video title and you're like, wow, I want to know about what's going on with that video title. And then they just keep talking and talking and talking. And after a while, you're sitting there kind of exasperated thinking, what the hell? This person seems to be talking about everything other than the subject I thought that they're going to be talking about. What if with Python and with ChatGPT, you could create a little script that would be able to go in, read the transcription of a YouTube video, and then give you the information that's pertinent to you so that you don't have to listen to some of these people just keep yapping away, right? Well, that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. We're going to use a Python module. I think it's called the YouTube Transcription API Python module. That is going to go in. It's actually going to get the text transcription from a YouTube video. We are then going to feed that text to ChatGPT, and then we're going to be able to ask it whatever questions that we're interested in, right? Instead of sitting here and watching this 14-minute video, I could simply ask ChatGPT, give me a 100-word summary of what this guy is yakking about. Or what might be more useful is, you know how there's some of these podcast videos now, you know, the Lex Friedmans of the world, the Joe Rogans of the world, that literally go for 3 hours, right? You're interested in one specific topic. But then you look at this 3-hour video and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? One of the interesting things that you can do is you can actually get the time codes for all the text that's said during a video. And then you can ask ChatGPT for specific time codes. If you're like, I want to hear Lex Friedman talk about playing a guitar in an autonomous car, you could just simply ask ChatGPT, hey, where does Lex Friedman talk about this? And it'll say, oh, he talks about this at time code 10 minutes and 30 seconds, so that you could go and you could actually, hear what he says about that specific topic and then go about your daily business. So this is a really interesting thing that you can do with ChatGPT. And this is one of the things that I find very valuable about ChatGPT. Is basically this ability to go into text and then be able to find whatever information that you're interested in. So if you're normally hand coding things out, there's something called regex, regular expressions, and that's basically where you have to type out this nasty code. Every coder I know hates regex with a passion. I don't know why it is. But you go in, you type out this nasty code to be able to try to figure out where text is in a document. One of the nice things that I really like about ChatGPT is you don't do regex. You literally say, hey, ChatGPT, give me this specific information, and it dumps it out for you. And so what's really cool is, again, when we're doing scraping, when we're doing parsing, that we can do this against web pages. We can do this against RSS feeds. We can do this against PDF files. I haven't done that class yet, but that is so lovely. And we can also do it against things like YouTube videos, again, to make our lives easier. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's class. Now, before we get into the technical part of this class, I do just want to give you a demonstration for what we're going to be creating today, so that if that's all you're interested in and you don't want to see me yap for 30 or 40 minutes, you can just see what I'm talking about and then you can move on. So we have 3 scripts today. The first script is basically just to get a transcription. The second script is going to give us a summary and tags for a particular video. And the third script is going to give us time codes within that video that we might be interested in, right? So basically, if I run this script here, I'm not going to really explain this this code yet. We'll talk about that later in the class. But basically, we have the YouTube video here. So this is the YouTube video. When I run this particular script, it's going to give me the URL. It's going to give me the video code, basically, and then this is the transcription, right? The regulations are rethinking how the entire tech economy should work, but if you're like, wait and sec, blah, blah, blah. So basically, this is the text. Now, it's very important to understand, again, in the technology world, one of the reasons people think that coding is more difficult than it actually is because they're sitting there and they're thinking, oh my golly, how do I write code that takes words and turns it into text? Or how do I write code so that a computer can see using a webcam or whatever and then do something with it? The important thing you have to understand in the modern world of technology is all this crap has already been solved for us. Again, do remember, AI is hard. APIs are not, right? So what's really cool is there's a whole bunch of services that have already been created out there that allow us to turn audio into text, video into text, basically image files into text. And then once we've turned it into text, that is relatively easy to parse, right? So this is the transcription there. If we go then to the second, basically, this gives us, again, the YouTube video again. We have the OpenAI. Then basically what we're going to do down here is we're going to ask for a 100-word summary of the video, and we are going to output a list of tags for this particular video. So again, if you want to start trying to create taxonomy for videos that you have in a list, imagine, let's say you have a business. Again, I know for a fact that my videos are used by many companies and even colleges, even boot camps, which is a little bit frustrating. But anyways, right? A lot of these institutions use videos from me, from other YouTubers out there, and they basically put our videos into their curriculum that they're charging $30,000 a pop for. Well, if you're doing that type of thing, one of the pains in the butt can be if you have other people's content, how do you create summaries? How do you create taxonomy? How do you work that content into your content management system so that it's easy for your users to be able to go through and take a look and find what they're looking for? And so one of the ways is you can just grab the transcript of a video, create a 100-word summary, create tags, and then that gives you a summary and tags that your users are able to deal with. So basically, if I run this, again, it gives me the URL for the video, gives me the video code right here. This is going to take a couple of seconds because it's getting chucked up to ChatGPT. Okay, so this is giving me a JSON response right here. So this is the text in JSON. We'll talk about that later. This is the text itself. And then if we keep scrolling up, here we go. So we have a summary. So we have the summary. In this video, the YouTuber discusses his concerns about Google Voice-to-Text product and Android phones. And then we have tags: technology, Android, voice-to-text, privacy, open source keyboard software, data, Google. And that's basically it, right? And so this is one of the things, again, that we can use with ChatGPT when we're parsing a YouTube transcript. Beyond that, again, we can go to our final demo here. And this is for time codes. So basically, we're going to feed it the transcript. What are the topics discussed in this video? Provide start time codes in seconds and also in minutes and seconds. This is one of the things you have to think about with AI is AI will give you what you ask for, and sometimes what you ask for isn't nearly as useful as you think it is. So you have to really think about what you're asking for. So I want the second mark, but I also want the minutes and seconds so it's easier to go through. Again, basically with the same YouTube video, we got the URL of the video. We got the video code here, and there we go. The problem with Google's voice-to-text product starts at 4 seconds. Privacy concerns with Google saving audio recordings starts at 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Lack of alternatives, blah, blah, 9 minutes and 44 seconds. Introduction to Futo voice input, 11 minutes and 26 seconds, so on and so forth. So this is a demonstration of what we're going to be working on today. And again, one of the things to be thinking about is these are simply what my requests are going to ChatGPT. You may have specific requests that you want to make of ChatGPT, and you just put that into the request, and you see what the AI spits out. What I can tell you is these couple of requests that I'm doing, the results that it gives you is pretty consistent. Do be careful with that. AI's consistency can be a little bit quirky. But anyways, this is a demo of what we're going to be building today. So now the first thing that we have to do as real technology professionals is not reinvent the damn wheel. Do you know how you can tell the difference between newbies and old-timers? Newbies are trying to reinvent every damn wheel all the time. I will only use code that I've handwritten myself. You know what the old-timers do? The old timers are trying to get home so they can be with their spouses, so they can deal with a project at the house, so they can deal with their kids or their dogs or do other things. Old timers are like, look, I'll give the company a good 40 hours a week, and then I've got other crap to do, right? It's a very important thing to be thinking about in the technology world, because this is one of the things that really frustrates a lot of new technology professionals, is they just sit here and they're like, oh my God, how am I going to turn this into text and then send it off to ChatGPT? And I'm like, what? Why would I turn this into text? YouTube already does it for you. And so this is an important thing to be thinking about. Like with any of these services out there, when does a platform already provide you with data in the format you're looking for? So a lot of people don't realize this, but with YouTube, right, you've got the YouTube video here. If you go down, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little save button here, and then there's these little 3 dots. If you click on the little 3 dots, you will then see this thing that says Show Transcript. I can click on the Show Transcript, and where is my transcript at? There we go. Then we have to click Show Transcript again, because, you know, YouTube is YouTube. Anyways, there we go. And then once we've done the Show Transcript, we can actually take a look at it here. And this actually shows you that YouTube has already created the text transcription for this video and has already given you time codes. At the 000 mark, hey everybody, how's it going? At the 1 second mark, you're having a lovely day 4 years, 2 seconds ago. On this channel, I discussed at 4 seconds a problem that had to do with a Google product. So forth and so forth and so forth. And this is literally all the text with the time codes for everything that he said in this video. Now you're sitting here and you're looking at it, okay, well that's great. You know, the text is already there, and now I need to grab the text. And one of the things you might be thinking about is, okay, I can go show page source, and then I can try to find the transcription in this mess. But again, remember, tech professionals, we don't reinvent wheels. We use the wheels that somebody else has already created. And so on Python, there is already a module called YouTube-Transcript-API. It's currently on the 0.6.1 model. You do pip, or if you're using for Python 3 or whatever, pip3. So pip3 install YouTube-Transcript-API. You would do this at the terminal. Again, for me, I'm using a MacBook Pro or I use Ubuntu. So I would do pip3. Basically, you install this. And then once you have this module installed into your Python environment, this module will then be able to go out and get the transcription from the video and be able to pull it into your Python code. Again, I will reiterate this. If you are reinventing a wheel and it seems like somebody else probably already did this type of thing, it's worth your time to do a little bit more Google searching to try to find a solution that already exists. Again, especially in one of the nice things about the Python world is somebody has probably already solved in the higher level problem that you're dealing with. Past that, so this is what actually goes out and gets that transcription, gets that text for you. And then with OpenAI, of course, you have to go to OpenAI, you log in. So you go to OpenAI, you don't go to ChatGPT. You log in, gives you this option. You want to go to API, and then from here, you'll go to personal, and you'll go to your API keys, and this is where you get your API keys from OpenAI. Again, with OpenAI, you would do pip3 install OpenAI. That would install the OpenAI module for Python, and then you'll be able to use OpenAI in your projects. This is like our 7th class on OpenAI at this point, so you should understand how that goes. So you're going to have to install the YouTube Transcript API module. You're going to have to install the OpenAI module. You're going to have your API key, and then you go about and you start writing this code in Python. So my demonstration computer that I'm using an M2 MacBook Pro because usability. Don't tell this to the noobs. Yes, I spend money to make it easier to tippy-tap type out code, but everything that I'm showing you today should work on Windows, should work on Linux, should work on a potato. Basically, anything that you have Python 3 installed on, everything that I'm showing you today should work without any kind of hiccups. Now, our first lab, we are simply going to be using the YouTube Transcript API module to be able to pull the transcript from the YouTube page in the JSON format and then turn that into plain text so that we have something to parse. So for this right here, we are not using OpenAI at all. So from YouTube _transcript _API, import YouTube transcript API. Make sure you get all the capitalization and all that correct. Go to eli.thecomputerguy.com. All this documentation, all this code will be there. Now, the next thing that I'm doing right here is I'm giving myself a little bit easier usability. So for this YouTube Transcript API, all it wants is the video ID. So it doesn't want any of this other crap in the URL. It only wants the video ID. Here's the thing, you go to a YouTube page, you try to copy just the video ID, and it can be a pain in the butt, right? One click, you can select the entire URL. If you're just trying to get the video ID, you got to use the mouse and copy just what you want or whatever, and that can be a bit of a problem. So what I'm actually going to do here is to make life easier, I am going to take the entire URL. So I can simply paste the entire URL here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip out the entire front bit of that URL, right? So https www.youtube.com watch $v equals. So everything before the video ID are going to use replace. We're going to use replace here, and we're going to replace it with absolutely nothing. So I can simply paste the entire URL here, and then I'm going to strip out the rest of the URL, and it's only going to give me the video ID. So URL equals the entire URL for the YouTube video. We're going to print out that entire URL just for troubleshooting purposes, so I know what's going on. Video ID, right? That's what we want, is URL dot replace, and so I'm going to replace everything in front of that video ID with nothing. So basically we're just going to strip it out, and then we're going to print out the video ID. Again, for troubleshooting purposes, making sure we're not screwing things up. Then what we do here is transcript equals YouTube transcript API dot get transcript. So this is all part of that YouTube transcript API. Make sure you do all the capitalization, right? They really do a number of the capitalization for this particular module. Anyways, and then we feed it the video ID, and then we're going to print out what the transcript is. Now, it's important to understand, when we print out what the transcript is, this is actually going to be printed out as a JSON format. So it's going to give us our time code, plus it's going to give us the text, right? And so we're just going to get this big, nasty, ugly JSON format. And so you could use that if you want to go through and use time codes and that kind of thing, right? That gives you all the information. But that's going to be kind of ugly. It's a bit unwieldy to deal with, especially if we're just sending this information up to ChatGPT. You do not want to give AI more information than it needs, right? If you give AI too much information, the answer that you get may be nonsensical because it's giving you a response based off of, again, information that you don't actually care about. So time codes, all that kind of stuff we want to strip out. So that's what we're going to come down here, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the text value from JSON, from all of these different JSON indexes. We're going to take the text value and we're going to turn that into an output file. So output equals nothing, 4x in transcript. So transcript is JSON. So 4x in transcript. Sentence equals, and then x text. Output plus equals sentence slash next line. So basically what's going to happen here is we're going to create the sentence out of just what's in the text value, and then we're going to keep adding the sentences to the output, next line, next line, next line, next line. And so what that's going to do is that's simply going to give us this long thing of text with everything basically on the next line. Then what we're going to do is we're going to simply print the output, right? So when I go here, I do this, it'll be relatively quick because again, all this is doing is going to YouTube, pulling down the text file and dealing with that. If we scroll up so we can see what's going on here. So again, we're going to print out what the URL is to verify we didn't screw something up there. We're then going to print out what the video ID is. Again, to verify we're not screwing up the parsing or whatever that's wrong. And then here, this is the JSON. So text, hey tuber is in full swing. We have a whatever. Start is at 4 seconds. Duration for this is 4.92 seconds. A lot to talk about. Meta gave Apple run, whatever. Start 2.72 seconds, duration 4 seconds. And so this is the text in a JSON format. And so you're going to get the text itself, you're going to get the start time for the text, and you're going to get the theoretical duration for how long that particular snippet was talked about for. Again, this is nice, but it gives us a lot of information that we don't really care about for sending up to ChatGPT. Again, remember with ChatGPT, we get charged for tokens. Tokens are words, parts of words, or symbols. So think about this: duration, seconds, start. We don't want to get billed for all of this extraneous information. So we're going to strip all that extraneous information out. And then we come down here, and this is just the text, right? Sonoma, it's a fairly minor update, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, this is just the text that's being printed out so that we can then send this text directly up to ChatGPT and have ChatGPT parse it. So I think that's pretty simple right there. Again, we feed it the URL, we grab the video ID from the URL, we get the transcript from the video ID that comes back as JSON, and then we turn that JSON into text so that we can feed that to ChatGPT. Now that we know how to get a transcript using Python and the YouTube Transcript API module, now we're going to feed that transcript to ChatGPT. So with this, a lot of the same stuff up here. And then we're going to have two requests to OpenAI. One is going to be to write a 100-word summary of this video. So we're going to feed it the output. The next is going to be output a list of tags for this blog post, Python list, such as item 1, 2, and 3. We're going to feed it the output. And then we're going to print that to the screen. So we go up here and we take a look at this from YouTube Transcript API, import YouTube Transcript API, make sure you get that capitalization correct, import OpenAI, because we need OpenAI. The OpenAI API key is this thing. Do not worry, it will be deleted by the time this video is uploaded. We then have the URL as we had before. So this is the URL for the video. We're going to print out the entire URL. Video ID, we're going to replace the front of that URL with absolutely nothing so that we just get that video ID, because that is what the YouTube Transcript API module needs. Transcript equals YouTube transcript API.get transcript video ID. So this is going to give us a JSON response for the transcript for the video ID that we fed it. Now, again, for this particular project, we don't want to actually deal with the JSON because the JSON has a whole bunch of additional text we don't want to get billed for. We don't want to make the chat OpenAI confused or any of that. So we're going to have output. Output equals nothing. For X in transcript, sentence equals X text. So basically, for every item in the transcript dictionary, we're then going to grab the value for text, that is going to be sentence, output plus equals, so this adds to output, F space sentence next line. Do make sure you put that space in there so it's not all smooshed together like words are right on top of each other. Then we're going to come down here. So our first response equals, and this is a pretty standard thing, chatcompletion.create. We are using the GPT 3.5 turbo model because, again, it costs us 1/5 of a cent for every 1,000 tokens versus 3 cents for every 1,000 tokens. And it's good enough for these particular projects. System role, you are a journalist. Assistant, write a 100-word summary of this video. Role user, and we're going to feed the output. So this entire transcript of just the text, we are going to feed it. And then summary is going to equal response, choices, 0, message, content, right? So we're going to get this JSON response back from OpenAI. Again, we've done this in other classes, so we're not going to go through this again. This is just the stock standard way. Content is where the information you're looking for is. So summary is going to equal this. Then we're going to come down here. We're simply going to do another request, chat completion, GPT 3.5 turbo, system, you are a journalist, assistant, output a list of tags for this blog post in a Python list such as item 1, item 2, item 3. Role user content, and we're going to feed it the output, and so it's going to go through and it's going to give us those tags, hopefully in this format. Again, especially when you're doing things like taxonomy, formatting the prompt, formatting the request in such a way that you get a response back in a format that it's easy for you to parse can be a bit of a complicated thing. So this is one of the places where things like OpenAI get surprisingly difficult. Figuring out how to prompt OpenAI in a way that you get a response in a format that you can then parse, right? You're making a request to OpenAI, it's giving you back a response, and then once it gives you back a response, you now have to parse it to do something with it, right? So anyways, that's what you got here. Tag equals, again, the same thing we had up here. Response choice is 0, message content. That gives us these tags, hopefully. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to print the summary. We're going to say the word summary, then we're going to print summary, then we're going to print tags, we're going to print the tag is, and then we're going to print output, and we're going to print what the output is. For this, just to make my life a little easier, I am actually going to comment out the output and the transcript here so we don't get something really long, right? Because it's going to get the entire transcript and the entire output. That's going to be really, really, really long. Just so I can show you what's going on, I just want to print out the summary and the tags for you. Let me save here. Now let me run this. So it's going to go to this particular video. Again, the URL of the video gives you the video ID right here. And then it's going to give you a summary. The journalist discusses the problem with Google's voice-to-text product, highlighting concerns about privacy and data security. They mention that the product saves and transcribes every audio recording made on the phone, which could potentially be accessed by others, blase, blase, blase. And it actually gives you a pretty reasonable summary here. Then we come down to tags. We can see that this is in a list format: journalism, technology, privacy, data security, voice-to-text, Google, Android, open source software, Futo, voice input, keyboard, DRM, payment, autocorrect, right? And then it has the output here, and the output, that is if you wanted all of that text for whatever reason. I'm not printing it this time just because it gets a little bit ugly, right? So this is basically what we're dealing with here. If we go back, and again, like I say, we just take a look at the code. So we're getting the URL, we're turning into the video ID, we're turning the video ID into a JSON response, we're turning the JSON response just into text, then we're asking for a 100-word summary, then we're asking for the tags, and then we're simply printing it out onto the screen. And now we get to the final lab for today. And so basically with this lab, what we're going to be doing is we are going to ask, what are the topics discussed in this video? Provide start time codes in seconds and also in minutes and seconds. So for this, we're actually going to feed it the entire JSON response that we got before, right? And that JSON response not only has the text, but it also has a start time that goes along with it. And so we're going to ask of it, basically, what are the topics that are discussed and what are the time codes for those particular topics. Now, one of the things that I'll show you here is that if you notice for this particular model, I have had to up this to the GPT 3.5 Turbo 16,000 token model, the 16K model, right? So if you use a 3.5 Turbo model that allows you to use 4,000 tokens, which was right around 3,000 words, basically, right? But words, words, right? So when you're looking at tokens, tokens are either words, parts of words, or symbols. But we are now feeding the entire JSON response, right? So before we were just feeding the text. So that's not too bad. You're not going to have too much text, even in a video generally. But now we're feeding the text, we're feeding all the JSON symbols, all of that kind of stuff. So we have to go up to the 16K model to be able to actually have enough tokens for what we're dealing with. Again, one of the things to be thinking about as a real technology professional is pricing, right? One of the things I try to hammer into your heads, terms of service, licenses, pricing. This is one of the differences between a technology professional and somebody that just knows how to code. You need to be thinking about this when you develop your code to make sure it's most efficient for your organization, your company. If we come down here to pricing, again, one of the things I'll say is if you use the GPT-4 model for 8K, you're paying 3 cents for 1,000 tokens on input and 6 cents for 1,000 tokens on output for 8K. For 32K, you're paying 6 cents per 1,000 tokens input, 12 cents per 1,000 tokens output. So if you use a GPT-4 request, you could literally burn $2 to $4 every request. Imagine every time your script runs, that costing your company $2 to $4, especially if you do not need it. So do be careful. So we can go down to the 3.5 model. And again, for educational purposes, honestly, for most purposes, the 3.5 model is probably going to be good for you. What you see is for the 4K context, it's 0.0015 cents for input for 1,000 tokens and 0.002 cents for 1,000 tokens output. So what this means is it's less than a fifth of a penny per 1,000 tokens that go in, and it is a fifth of a penny for every 1,000 tokens that come out. Again, dirt cheap compared to 4K. But with a 16K context, do realize that this then doubles, right? So instead of being less than a fifth of a penny, it now goes down to being about a third of a penny for input, and it goes to 40% of a penny for output. Again, right? You're just in class, you're screwing around, you're doing stuff on a very low volume system. Neither of these numbers probably matter to you. But again, in a production world, right? If you're hammering the hell out of OpenAI, right? You're making, numerous requests per minute, maybe even numerous requests per second. All of a sudden, a third of a penny or 40% of a penny can add up very, very, very quickly. So do be careful with that. So again, though, since we're feeding that entire nasty JSON response, we do have to go to the 16K model here. So now let's scroll up and just take a look at this code. So from YouTube Transcript API, import YouTube Transcript API, import OpenAI. Here's our OpenAPI key. URL equals the URL that we're feeding it. Print out the URL. Video ID equals that URL minus the URL part. So we just have the video ID here. And then transcript equals YouTube Transcript API, get transcript, the video ID. So this transcript is now going to be the response in that full ugly JSON format. We're then going to come down here, response equals OpenAI, chat completion create. We're going to be using the 16K model of the 3.5. We're going to say you are a database computer. I don't know. Basically with the system, remember you're trying to give it a character. What character are you playing? I don't know. You're a database computer. Role assistant, data is stored in a JSON format. So I'm telling it what kind of format the text I'm giving it is. Stored in JSON, text, start, and duration. Assistant, the content. So that transcript that I'm feeding it, I have to feed it as a string. If you just try to feed it transcript, it'll actually fail because it's not a string data type. So by putting transcript within the string method, it'll turn it into a string so you can ship it up. And then user content. What are the topics discussed in this video? Provide start time codes in seconds, also in minutes and seconds. Time code equals response choice is 0 message content, as it always does. And then we're simply going to print out the time code. So if I then click on this, this is going to run the URL, the video ID as a spin. And here we go. The problem with Google's voice-to-text product starts at 424 seconds, 0 minutes, 424 seconds. Concerns about data storage and privacy with Google's product starts at 10.44 seconds, 0 minutes and 10.44 seconds. Introduction to a solution, Fudo voice input, 91.119 seconds, 1 minute and 31 seconds. Comparison between Google voice-to-text and Fudo input started at 106 seconds. Which is, 1 minute and 146 seconds. Discussion on the future plans of Fudo brand start at 758 seconds, 12 minutes and 38 seconds. So that then gives you basically the topics that are discussed within this particular video, and it gives you the time codes for when those topics were discussed. So again, this is something that might be useful for you if you're trying to go out there and again grab a lot of information from different videos and be able to give your users a bit of a guide of what information is in these videos. So there you go. Now you know how to get a transcript from a YouTube video, basically feed that into the OpenAI API, and then try to get the answers that you're looking for, right? Do you want a summary of the video? Do you want tags, being some kind of taxonomy for the video? Do you want to know time codes when things are talked about in a video? That's a thing that you can do here. And again, OpenAI makes this really, really easy. Again, one of the nice parts with this is you can actually create your own little search system. So let's say you wanted to know only when somebody is talking about the Android operating system or only about NVIDIA. So one of the popular things on YouTube now is kind of like these news shows. And so with the news show, it's kind of like the old school news. They talk about a number of different topics, right? They'll talk about NVIDIA, then they'll talk about Apple, then they'll talk about Huawei, whatever else. Let's say you're only interested in a specific topic. This could be an easy way. You could create a little app, and so you could just plug in the specific topic that you're looking for, and then it could give you the time code for when those specific topics are talked about. Again, this can be very useful, especially with this really long form content nowadays. Again, Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, CoffeeZilla, a lot of these folks nowadays, I mean, it's not even an hour-long video. It might be a 3-hour-long video. So imagine Joe Rogan is talking with Lex Friedman. You're interested in a very specific topic that Lex Friedman may be discussing, and that's all you want to hear. By being able to feed that Joe Rogan transcript into the system, or the Lex Friedman transcript into the system, you could then ask OpenAI, give me the time code for when these particular things are talked about, and then it can give you those particular time codes. So again, I think this is one of those interesting things that you can do with OpenAI. Again, this is our 4th, 5th, 6th class in OpenAI, the API. And one of the things that I really want to reinforce for you is like there's this idea, right? There's this myth going on around in the technology world right now that coders, right? Coders are going to go away. Coders are going to be obsolete because of AI. And what I'm trying to show you is AI is an amazing piece of functionality. Again, whether you're talking about large language models, whether you're talking about computer vision, there's a whole bunch of AI functionality out there that goes well beyond OpenAI. But what I want you to understand is that it's functionality like anything else. Twilio is functionality for SMS messages. SendGrid is functionality for sending out email blasts, right? You have database services out there. You have Azure Cognitive Services. Again, that's for voice and video and images and that kind of thing. But what I really want you to understand is these are all features This is all functionality that you build into a larger system. So again, even like what I'm showing you right now is incredibly simple. These are not finished products by any stretch of the imagination. But what I want you to see is it's like, okay, well, we have to use this particular module to turn whatever we're looking at into text. Once we've turned it into text, we then have to turn it into a format that's most appropriate for OpenAI. Then we make the request of OpenAI, we get the response back, and then again, for a finished product, we have to figure out what the hell we're actually doing with that response and go from there, right? AI is a piece of functionality for a much larger system. So yes, will some tech jobs go away? Absolutely. Again, look, I got my MCSE in NT 4.0 in 2000. Right? Skill sets in the technology world absolutely go away. I have not seen an NT server in a really long time. Again, to be clear, I actually dealt with Windows 95 in the production environment. Can you imagine corporations using Windows 95 to get work accomplished? It was absolutely miserable. You looked at the machine wrong and the damn thing blue screen to death on you, right? Those skills have gone away. Those skills have gone away, right? Now it's 20 years later, and I'm showing you how to use AI and Python and API, service-oriented architecture, microservices architecture, showing you how to use this in order to build technology products, in order to build systems, right? Back then, we were worried about file shares and emails and print services. Now we're worried about sending SMS messages and AI services and computer vision, right? If you are a technology professional, you will have a job for decades to come. If you know one skill in the tech industry and you think you're going to ride that for the next 20 years, you're most likely going to be in for a rude awakening. Unless that one skill is COBOL. I have a buddy of mine who does COBOL. If you want a skill, if you want a job skill that's going to last you a really long time, learn COBOL. That will last you a long time. Otherwise, stuff comes, stuff goes. Do not worry about tech jobs disappearing. No, specific skills stop being valuable. Again, the overall being a technology professional is going to be around for a long, long time. So anyways, there you go. That's about all I got to say today. Again, also remember, do not reinvent the wheel. Noobs reinvent the wheel. Old timers want to go home and do something else with their lives. So again, like I say, with any of these services, whether it's YouTube or Vimeo or Spotify or anything else, it's like you're sitting there and you're thinking, they should probably provide this type of data type. They probably do. And if they provide that kind of data type, somebody else has probably created something like a module for you to be able to extract that information and do something with it. So again, the big thing is do not reinvent the wheel, and you're going to have a much happier life. So as always, I enjoyed teaching this particular class and look forward to seeing you in the next one.